Well, that's what's so good about this, because Zoe Daniel and Monique Ryan, they're the hardest left of the Teals. So it's really been a backlash against these hard left extremists in Melbourne.
100%. And we were all watching what was going to happen to the Teals. We all discussed the fact that this whole, we're going to be so different, we're going to be transparent, we're just going to be this whole other class of politician. You can only pull that trick once. It's a one-trick pony, and the results speak for themselves. People weren't falling for it a second time round. Well, these people had shown over the course of the last term what they actually stood for, and voters weren't going to give them a second gong.
Well, Paul Keating was great at creating word images for us to explain the economy on his political point of view. I'm about to show you what Pauline Hanson told me earlier this hour, and there's a word image here about how she celebrated when she found out what had happened to Adam Bandt. Have a look.
Just quietly between you and I was getting ready to come onto your program when I heard the news, and I couldn't help it. I did a dance around the house in my bra and knickers, and I had to have a gin and tonic. So I am so excited. That's the best news I've heard.
Dancing around with the gin.
Did she say with or without a gin and tonic?
With the gin, no, bra and knickers and a gin and tonic.
That's an image for the age.
That's an almighty trio.
That'll keep a lot of people warm on those cold, lonely nights at sea.
This is something I never would have thought I'd hear directly from Pauline Hanson when I was standing reporting outside furious protesters because she dared to speak 30 years ago. Amazing stuff. It is amazing stuff. Now, another Green who lost his seat isn't very happy about the way he was treated in Parliament. Have a listen to this.
I'll be honest, one of the things I'm quite happy about at the moment is I don't have to spend more time in the House of Representatives, because, like, basically every time I stood up, I got screamed and yelled at. Like, in terms of a workplace, it was bloody awful. And frankly, a lot of the times miserable.
Oh, come on, Max. Harden up, hey?
Well, I mean, this is a party that blocked Labor's housing policy for months and months and months and months and months. This is a housing spokesman who I believe actually was opposing more housing being developed in his own electorate at the same time as complaining that there wasn't enough housing. And so, yes, you are going to cop it. And I'm told by Labor sources that the housing issue was the number one most toxic thing about the Greens, even over and above their anti-Semitism. So that really bit into the electorate. And that's why you saw, if anything, more convincing result in Griffith than in Brisbane, which Labor was very sure of winning. So that's politics, buddy.
Isn't this a Gen Z thing to complain that in politics there were opponents yelling at you across the chamber?
Well, we've heard plenty of women bring up this same complaint, and I think they're snowflakes as well. The bottom line is, don't get into politics if you can't be yelled at and abused to some extent, because that is the name of the game. People don't go to Parliament to hold hands and sing Kumbaya. Yeah. They are political opponents. There is a lot of argy-bargy, and whenever one of these stories comes out, because he also shared about how he felt like throwing up, or I think he did throw up on one occasion when some Labor guys had been screaming at him in the chamber, and that really affected him. At the end of the day, just don't get involved. Just don't get involved. You're just going to end up embarrassing yourself and doing the same as him. And many tears have been shed, and I'm always just like, you're in the wrong job. Get out.
Maybe next week, instead of having the Wednesday wrangle, we could have the Wednesday ring out, and we can all just share our stories of when life was tough for us or when our job was tough. One bloke who's really weathered more attacks than most in politics is the former opposition leader, Peter Dutton. Here he is strolling through Canberra's airport today. Obviously a sad and forlorn figure, but he did it with dignity. Obviously he's got to go back to Canberra to unpack his office and clear up a few things. That's pretty much all he's got to do. And he didn't want to buy into any debates. Joe, obviously just dignified silence is what he's after at the moment. Yeah, I think obviously his concession speech was incredibly gracious. I really feel for Peter Dutton. I think he's a decent bloke. I don't think that he is the monster or the bully that sections of the media and politics have tried to make him out to be. I think he was led on a merry dance by some people who kept telling him to go harder and, you know, be stronger and harder and more conservative on this, and we now know from all the research, and the post-mortem will show it again, that these positions actually really hurt him with the electorate. So yeah, it's all over for Peter Dutton. If anything, though, I think it is more merciful that he doesn't have to sit around for another 3 years.
having it all combed over. So I wish him all the best.
Yeah, they've got to try and make use of him somehow, unofficially in the party, but off he goes and does something else. I think just as much as being encouraged to sort of toughen up on a few issues, when you read about the advice he was getting too, understandably, you got to freshen up, you got to be personable, you got to be lighter. It's impossible. You have to be. You have to be plausible. You have to be authentic.
Be likeable now.
The very word. That's what I say all the time. So the poor guy was being told, we've got to soften your image.
Yeah.
We've got to soften your image. Then you had parts of the base being like, no, you need to go harder. You need to be more Trumpian. You make so many mistakes when you just stop being yourself. There has to be a level of, you know what, I'm throwing everything out the door, all the bits and pieces of advice, and I'm simply going to be authentic. That way people won't be watching me and thinking, this guy's not legit. He was trying to be two things to too many people. And you know what they say, once you try to have a message for everyone, you end up having a message for no one.
Now, I want to leave Australian politics. We'll keep on this for days and weeks to come, no doubt. But I want to duck to the US, and I want to show you a little video that's been put out by the former Prime Minister, now, of course, our ambassador to Washington, Kevin Rudd. And this video goes for a while. I'll just show you a clip of it, but it's quite incredible. It's well produced. It's probably smart from Australia's point of view, but it's basically Kevin Rudd telling America, i.e. Donald Trump, don't worry, we're all in on America, mate. We're doing all we can to help you. Have a look.
So whether it's Australian companies creating jobs and innovation, Australian capital supercharging US businesses, or our steadfast commitment to a safe and secure Indo-Pacific, we in Australia are investing big in America. And we're just beginning.
Yeah, how about it? Australian investment creating American jobs.
So basically, dear Donald Trump, we'll do whatever you want.
Exactly.
Love Australia. But look, it is absolutely true. I mean, I know you were talking before about this sort of, new sort of axis of authoritarian regimes that is absolutely, genuinely terrifying. I don't want to fearmonger, but it is genuinely scary. And unless we have America as a counterweight to that, the United States as the leader of the free world and acting in concert with its fellow allies, then we could be in a whole lot of trouble. So we need to make sure we stay on board with America. Trump's pretty crazy, but, he's better than the other lot, so we better stay sweet.
Just quickly, before I get a word from you, Liz, to wrap up, I'll show you that cryogenics does work because Joe Biden's given his first interview. Have a look at what he's got to say.
The way we talk about now that, it's just the Gulf of America. Maybe we're going to have to take back Panama. Maybe we need to acquire Greenland. Maybe Canada should be. What the hell's going on here?
Yeah, well, Biden's having trouble working it out.
Well, Trump, it still doesn't pass up the opportunity every time he gets it to be like, look at everything I've done. Biden couldn't even walk up a flight of stairs. Look what I've done within 100 days. So it's still going two ways, this dogfight.
Kevin Rudd's just released a video saying he supports America buying Greenland. By the way.
Exactly.
So that's all sweet.
Kevin Rudd's got a MAGA hat on, apparently.